Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
Hey, Roland. Welcome to episode 2 of Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. How are you today?
Hello, Dr. Jacalyn. I'm fine, and I'm very honored and pleased that we do this together. And as we started last week, I was a guest on your show, and now we do it together. I'm very proud of it. Thank you much. And hello to our audience.
Yes, and thank you. I love how things always evolve because we're both very open to collaboration and feedback. And we actually have a guest joining us later today for episode 2, so that's pretty cool as well. So I'm just going to start off. I said this before, but you always look so healthy and so full of life, and I look so pale and ghoulish. What is your secret?
What's my secret? I'm just thinking, I'm laughing because a few minutes before the show, I had a conversation about a movie. It's called Green Fried Tomatoes at the Whistle Stop Cafe. It's an older movie. And at the end, she says to the policeman, the secret is in the sauce. I was just
Well, I guess there is a secret in the sauce. That's true.
So what's my secret? I guess I think besides health and nutrition, working out, or being in nature, I think I surround myself with positive people like you, for example, other colleagues here and friends of mine. I think this has the most impact about how I look like it, because that's how I feel like.
Good. Yeah, well, it really shows through. And I don't get out in the sun very much, which you can tell. I mean, look at my hand compared to your look at my hand compared to your face. It's crazy. I look like I've been in a cave or something. But anyway, it is interesting because in certain cultures, I think very white skin, even whiter than mine, is revered. It's like,
well, especially in Japan, white skin is very noble, and it has been in the 16th, 17th, 18th century in Europe too. Everybody was avoiding the sunlight and be as white as possible. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think it looks better to be tan. I've always thought that. When I was young, very young, I don't know if they had it over there in Europe, but we had something called, I forget, you spray it in your hair.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I forget what it was. It's like lemon juice and chemicals and stuff. And then you would sit out with the aluminum foil around your face and you'd just be like getting tan. And then, of course, the tanning beds. And I would say before the pandemic, I was going for spray tans, which is really interesting. And I stopped doing all that because it's so many chemicals. I don't even know what it is, but I do think when I am tan, I feel more confident.
Well, I love to be tanned a little bit, not too much because I want to try to avoid wrinkles. I'm getting older too. But yeah, but obviously, we had a discussion, I guess, on It's Your Healthy Lifestyle when we talked about the sun. I don't do sunbathing like that. I'm not lying in the sun or something like that. But I'm always outside most of the time. I'm cooking outside. I'm walking my dog on the beach, so I'm always outside. That's why I have a suntan. But I don't use any sun protection, not at all. The only thing I use, and I did it also before the show, is because just outside of my motorhome there is wild aloe vera. I don't know how to say aloe vera growing here. So I cut a little bit and put this juice on my face, but it's really cooling my face. That's the only thing I do when I go back to my motorhome inside after the sun.
Well, that makes a lot of sense, but I'm allergic to aloe vera, so I can't use that. I think it's kind of a catch-22 with the sun, because I mentioned before that my mother had, I think, 78 skin cancers, 2 melanomas. And, you know, when you watch someone go through the Mohs surgery where they're cutting down layers and you're waiting to find out if there's any cancer. But on the other side, she wore a lot of sunscreen. She wore, you know, sometimes that white zinc. And I know that has a lot of chemicals in it. So it's kind of like you can't put anything on your skin to protect yourself. So for me, I just can't go out in the sun. When I do go out, I have a giant hat with big glasses and long sleeves. And I've been the brunt of many jokes, believe me.
Well, you know, most of the time, well, actually, when I walk my dog, it's impossible. But most of the time, I'm just sitting outside in the shadow. I'm not sitting in the sun. I sit in the shadow. And a few days ago, we spent 2 hours on the beach, like, you know, swimming a little bit. I always have a huge not a sombrero, but almost like a Mexican sombrero. I also use a hat. Yes, 100%. Yeah, to protect myself.
I think people look good when they have a tan. So I guess it's like everything else, like everything in moderation. So anyway, we have no script. So for people joining us, none of our shows do we have scripts, but today's what's different is we have no topic. So we can go anywhere. We are going to be streaming live for about an hour and 15 minutes today. As I mentioned, we will have a guest joining us on the half hour. So how was your weekend? I know there in Europe, you are 6 hours ahead of here on the East Coast of the States. So you're almost finished with your weekend. How's it been?
Well, the weekend, actually, I had a good time. I was working on a book, to be honest. I'm bringing out a new book. I'm writing on that, and then as I said, I'm walking my dog on the beach, and I do a lot of workouts. Actually, I tried a new workout, and I love it. You know, I just saw it on YouTube, and I tried it with my partner together, and she looked at me and she said, "Are you serious? It looks so simple." But the next day, she couldn't move at all. And to be honest, you know, I'm working out on a regular basis, but I felt some new muscle, I thought.
What is it? What was the workout?
You open so you're standing, you open your legs wider than your shoulders. You use some dumbbells or kettlebells, not too heavy, to be honest, not too heavy. And then you bend down with your right arm and you put your dumbbells in front of your legs. So wide as your legs, in front of your leg. And then you take your right arm and turn down to your left leg and lift the left dumbbell. Go up, and then you go with your left hand to the right side and put it up. And then you bring the dumbbell in your right hand back on the left side, and the dumbbell in the left side back on the right side. It looks easy, but when you do 100 reps, my gosh.
I got to tell you something. I am laughing because we just did something similar in GTX at Lifetime Fitness, and we call them windmills. And there were 2 different types. So you stand with your legs wide, like you mentioned, and then one arm goes up, and then in the other hand, you have the dumbbell. And so your eyes follow your hand as the other arm goes down your leg. And then you come back up very slowly and you do it again. Then you switch. Then you do the opposite. You put the dumbbell in this hand and then you reach the hand down to the leg. So the hand is at the bottom with the weight and the other it's at the top. And oh yeah, it works. It works your core. It works your obliques. It works a lot of body parts. It's a good 100%.
One. But this sounds like a nice variation. I will try this next time.
Yeah, try it. Well, that's what's so cool about working out. And I love the fact that you're always interested in trying new things. And I have too. I've gotten hurt a few times, but I do have some things that I do on a regular basis, like solid core and GTX from Lifetime. Again, not paid spokesperson, but just spreading the good word. So what I love about what you're doing is that you're doing it out there in the wilderness. You are not going to a gym or fitness center. You've got it wherever you go. You've got your own equipment.
Well, to be honest, I love to go to the gym. When I've been living on the island in Mallorca, I went to the gym 4 times a week with my motorbike. I love that. I missed it in the beginning, to be honest, because there was a lot of discipline to bring up. You know, when you're traveling in a motorhome, there is no gym, and then you start working out by yourself. There's nobody that is going with you, or no trainer or something like that. So it was a little bit a little bit challenging in the beginning, to be honest with it. But now I love it. I don't miss the gym at all because I do it really with a nice sea view. I'm working out, and I love it. And I always try out new things, because I'm now traveling 4 years full time in motorhome. So I started in April. It's April now, so 4 years ago. And I realized that I'm now much fitter than 4 years ago because, in the gym, you're always lifting the same stuff, the same machines.
Yes.
And now my muscles are different. I have much more power, especially in my grips. When in my grips, I have much more power, much more strength in my grips. Because, I carry around heavy weights and I walk through the camping site with, there's farmer walks and stuff like
the
that.
farmers carry.
Yeah, farmers carry, yeah. And stuff like that. And I found that it's much better for me. Or I do a farmer's walk with dumbbells over my head and I walk through the camping site and stuff like that. So this is much more fun and brings much more strength.
They're like, here he comes again. He's got those dumbbells going. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great way to do it. So I know that your partner is now working out. Are you getting some other people interested in working out too?
I had 2 months ago, there was a German couple and the man joined me for working out. Yes, but right now I'm in Sicily, in South Italy. I'm in Sicily, and here the season is for retired people spending the winter there. So most of them went back home in March, and those who start the summer season are coming in June, July. So right now the camping site is almost empty. What is beautiful.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's pretty cool. That's cool. Well, what I find is, like, right now I have here in my studio, I've got my spinning bike, I've got my weighted hula hoops, and I've got my TRX right over here. But because I am working out so much when I go to Solid Core in the gym, I don't have there's nothing else left. I just can't. To do. So that's a good point. How do you know when you've done enough? Because sometimes people quit too early, right? They'll say, oh, well, and sometimes people just do it by time. Oh, I spent an hour at the gym, or I spent an hour walking, but maybe they didn't actually accomplish anything. What do you think?
Well, I'm not looking on on the time. Sometimes I realize, I finished after half an hour because I had another stuff to do. Sometimes I do longer. But many years ago, I heard a quote. I guess it was a conversation between Arnold Schwarzenegger and Muhammad Ali. And Schwarzenegger asked Ali and said, Ali, how many push-ups are you doing? And Muhammad Ali said, I have no idea. I start counting when the pain drops in. And so what I do is, when I want to give up, I said, okay, let's do another extra 10 to 15 minutes.
That's cool.
And there's really cool progress on that. So 10, 15 minutes, yeah.
So here's a good point. There's different kinds of pain, right? There's pain when you're in an injured state, and then there's pain when your body's uncomfortable. How would you describe them, and how do you know when you've hit them?
Well, when it's uncomfortable, it's more in my mind. It's more the mindset than the body itself. Okay, when I feel pain in my body, of course I stop, or just maybe I do more stretching or stuff like that, and find out, did I do too much? Maybe I'm overtrained or something like that, and then I make a break, of course. But the thing is, no, it's here. When it's the mindset. When you talk to yourself, oh, it's too heavy, I'm too exhausted, I'm too tired, or whatever it is.
Yeah, it's so true. It's interesting. I'm going to bring up the Solid Core website, even though, as I've mentioned, I'm not a paid spokesperson, but I think the whole concept of it is so cool. And I just want to say, like, it gets really hard. Like, I've never taken a class when it wasn't hard, but let me get the website. But what I say to myself is, you know what? It's going to last. This particular part of the class is going to last for 3 minutes. It's on this machine, and you do things on one end or the other end. It's attached by springs, or it's not attached. There's cables, there's weights, there's all kinds of things. So I'll just say to myself, you know what, I only have to do another 3 minutes of this, and then I'll be fine. But a lot of times I hear people, making sounds that are like, they sound like they're dying. And that's okay to express yourself, but it is temporary. Now, if you have pain that's long lasting, that's an injury, right? I just recovered from an injury because I knew I was pushing myself too much. I was doing kettlebell swings. Have you done them?
Swinging kettlebells?
Yeah, kettlebell swings. Yeah, I know you've done them.
Yeah, I do this. Yes.
Yeah.
Because I loved it. Because the point is, with kettlebell swings, you really have to be taking care about your backs. You really have a straight backs, and not ensure especially your lower back. But I love kettlebell swings too. Yeah.
Yeah,
Really
I love them also. But if you don't have the right form, and so something I think is really important when you exercise is you've got to watch your form. So I know you do a lot of walking. You talked about a lot of steps. I like to walk, but I really only walk in the summer, and now that might change as well. So otherwise, I'm always walking on a treadmill, and I'm doing that at least 5 days a week. And I know it's not the same, but what I like about the treadmill is that you can set the incline. And so being a former runner, and I know you were a former runner too, I don't run anymore after I fell off the treadmill. So it's the end. But I do like to walk straight uphill. So how would you classify what you're doing? You're outside, you're with nature, you're communing, you're thinking, versus if you were on a treadmill where you can actually take that incline up.
Yeah. I mean, as I said before, 4 years ago, when I've been a member in a gym, I loved the treadmill, and I guess the maximum was 15% up or something like that. When as far as I remember,
more than that now.
Or more than something like that, and I loved it. Holding myself and walking upstairs. It's almost like being a stepper, but I found it much cooler. I love it. I absolutely love it. And I remember when I was in my running semi-professional career, I was always training in the mountains, because when there was a marathon which most of the city and they're flat, I really had an advantage because instead of the other guys, because I was always used to train up and down, so I had much more power. Well, right now here in Sicily, where I walk my dog, it's a national park. It's quite flat, so it's no ups and downs, no hills. But what I do is, on the way back, I go through deep sand, what is also cool for your muscles and for your joints and stuff like that. So there's less than a mile, maybe a little bit less than a mile. I walk on a long beach in the deep sand, and it's also a nice training for strength.
Yeah, no, walking through sand is great. I love that. I just wanted to share something. I said that I don't run on the treadmill anymore. And I kind of like your thoughts about this. I was thinking when I fell off, I knew I fell off the treadmill because I tripped. And at the time, they play loud music, and I was singing. I was just like singing, and I was running, and I was just so happy. But I knew that I tripped. And so after that, I went back to the treadmill. I haven't been on the same exact treadmill since then, but I went back, and I've noticed that even when I'm walking, sometimes I trip on my right foot. Like I'll just go just for a second. So that is in my mind now, that if I trip when I'm walking, the likelihood of tripping when I'm running is a lot higher, and I don't want to take that chance. So what do you think that's about? You think I have one leg longer than another? I don't know. I never tripped when I was running outside.
Well, to be honest, I fell off the treadmill 3 or 4 times.
You have fallen off it too?
Yeah, of course, because when I was distracted or something like that, or maybe my shoes haven't been closed properly, and I was stepping on the other one. Yeah, it happened to me too. I fell off 3 or 4 times. Yeah.
But that didn't stop you. If someone had a treadmill and said, "Hey, Roland," and you at the time, you'd still run on the treadmill, right? Or no?
Well, if I would spend a time in the city, yes, or especially when I go back to work, when I have a client in a hotel, I also use the treadmill, of course, in the gym and the hotel.
Will you run now? Will you run on it as opposed to walking?
I do fast walking up, uphill. Fast walking, not running. Fast walking. The reason for that is when I run, I'm really exhausted, and then I'm not really in my full focus on when I'm working out, when I'm lifting weights. So I love to walk. I feel good with walking, and then I do weightlifting.
Yeah, the same with me. I just wasn't sure because psychologically falling off the treadmill, that's one thing. You fall off a bike and they tell you to get back on. So I got back on the treadmill, but the fact that I do sometimes trip on my right foot, that's a real thing. I don't know what it's about, but I don't want to take the chance that, the likelihood, I'm not a scientist, but the probability that if you're tripping when you're walking, you're going to be tripping when you're running, and you're going to fall off the treadmill again. So therefore I'm kind of no with the running.
It can happen, can always happen,
Yeah, for sure. But I do think when you are running, you hit that euphoria as opposed to when you're walking. But what I do think is I have buns of steel. I'll tell you that much. Like, forget it. Like, you could throw a brick on my bun. It's going to fall from going up the incline. So there's something to be said about that. And I think just from the exercise watch, my Apple Watch, and tracking the zones, like the whole GTX class is about zone training, interval training, and then you get your heart up to zone 2, zone 3, zone 4. Sometimes it creeps into zone 5. You can train yourself just as effectively, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the advantage of a treadmill is really you can change the speed. That's what I love. You can change the ankle and the speed, and that's what I love because you really you know exactly how many miles per hour you're walking or running. That's pretty cool. But I was just loving before because when I moved into my motorhome, I sort of bring my sticks with me because many years ago I was one of the first in Europe doing these Nordic walking sticks because a friend of mine invented them and brought them on the market. So he sent me a pair of them. I said, try the sticks out. And I brought it. I didn't use them for 20 years. I don't know. It was in 2000, so 26 years ago, something that came on the market, something like that. So I brought it with me in a motorhome, and I always fall over the sticks.
What are the sticks? Are they like skis? Walking sticks, I guess.
Yeah, they're longer. A little longer, and at the end, you know, they have some rubber, so you're not really hard on when, especially on a street, you know. And then you can hold them there, and then you walk it. The advantage of them is because most people when they run, they get tired, they fall a little bit in front, so you really get upright, which is much better for your posture. And then you also train your arms because you really use them active, you know, ding 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 ding. It's a cool exercise. It's called Nordic walking, but I always fall over my sticks because you know I'm upright, and then my right hand is a little bit, the ankle is a little bit different, and then I fall over.
Forget it. That's too much work. It reminds me kind of cross-country skiing. I'm not a skier whatsoever, but I remember this goes way back to the dark ages when I was in high school, and we had this class trip. I think it was to Vermont, and I got up to the top of the mountain, whatever the mountain was. I know they have different like I don't know what it was. It was not a hard mountain to ski down. And somebody fell on top of me. And then we were rolling down the hill. And then someone fell on top of us. And that was the end for me. I was like, no. But someone also introduced me to cross-country skiing. And I thought that was pretty cool. But what I didn't like about it was I felt like I was not in control. I couldn't control it. I felt like it was a really good workout, but I felt like at any point I could fall out of control and get hurt. And so I'm not a control freak, but I wasn't good enough. I'm not good enough to feel like I could do it without having that nagging voice in the back of my head saying, you might fall, look out.
I did cross-country skiing. I remember that. Yeah, 25
Do you
years
like
ago.
it?
Well, you know, when there's a beautiful winter wonderland, you know, it's snowing, all the trees are covered with snow, it's sunshine, blue sky, and then, well, I wouldn't say I did cross-country skiing or running. It was more walking and enjoying the landscape. I loved it. Yes, I love it. It's a good workout. Absolutely.
Yeah, it is. Isn't it funny when you think back to 20 or 30 years ago? It's hard to believe that we're in our 60s, isn't it?
Well, actually, I guess 2 days ago, I said to my partner, I cannot believe that I will be 62. I said, I don't believe it. I don't feel like it. Well, you know, like 62, like an old man, just from the age. No, I don't realize it that I become 62, to be honest, because I feel like in my 30s, I'm full in shape. I'm healthy. I'm fit. My mind is like a teenager still. So no.
I know it's crazy. You know, it's kind of interesting because we both take such good care of ourselves, and mother time is just doing whatever it is that it does. But I have had a little ongoing, I don't want to say dispute with my AI partner, but it's kind of like I finally got the information that I wanted from the AI partner because I said, I don't understand. It's day 92. No sugar, no alcohol, no this, no that. And it came up with this. It said, listen, you are already in great shape. Like,
Yeah.
it's not like, because I said, I look at myself and I don't say, oh my gosh, what an incredible difference. And literally zero people have said, oh my gosh, what a change. It's like night and day. And so the AI said, you already were in great shape. So then I said, so what's the purpose? And it said, well, the purpose is that it's good for your system, that it's, it's clarity. But you go back and forth, like, I'm glad that I'm doing what I'm doing. But the point is, if I were younger, I'm sure there would be more of a difference, but I'm not.
100%.
I'm 63.
But Jacalyn, think about it. We are both in our 60s. Most people think about retiring, and we are still in shape. We are still working. We are very driven, vision driven, broadcasting, writing books, and coaching other people. And we don't think about getting retired because we love what we're doing and we're still fit.
So I want to ask you a question about that, because I have another conversation with my AI about that, which is, because we are so driven and because we are constantly coming up with content and creating in the capacities, we're not like everyone that we may know. And therefore, we have a different mindset. And there's not one mindset that's better than another. But it's certainly, like, I don't feel that there is a ton of community out there that is exactly like us. I feel like there's more community that's not like us.
100%. 100%.
You seem disappointed with that one.
100%, Dr. Jacalyn. No, to be honest, I realized this the last 10 years when I started with 50, 52. I started realizing then that people are counting the years down to retirement. And I thought, what and I remember, when I've been living on Mallorca, somebody asked me, you're going to retire in 10 years or 15 years, or when do you want to retire? And I always said, as long I can enter an aircraft, by myself without any support, I will work and travel. I never think about retiring because, what we are doing, we are passionate. We love what we're doing. It's not that we have to do it. We want to do it. And that's a difference. I mean, that's a difference. Of course, we all have to make our living and pay our bills. That's no doubt. But we want what we do. We don't. It's different. As someone have to have a job or have to continue the business or whatever. We love what we're doing, and I think that's a huge difference. But to answer your question is, I have 3 old friends. My oldest friend, we know each other since 55 years. It will 55 years in September. The other one 42, and the other one 31 or something like that. They are totally different than myself, but we are friends. But to be honest, the rest of my so-called friends and people I know, I don't see them anymore. I don't call them anymore. I want to be by myself, or sometimes have a nice conversation with like-minded people. But I don't want to waste my time with just content. Let's call it content-less small talk. To be honest.
Right. No, that makes a lot of sense. And I think also, I was just listening something from Mel Robbins, and she was interviewing someone about friendships, especially as we are adults. And one of the primary pillars that really can make or break a friendship is proximity. So I'm interested in your thoughts on that, because I just watched this video yesterday, and I don't really think that you have to be close in proximity to someone, but apparently there's all this research done. And the example they gave is when you're in elementary school, for example, and everybody lives in the same neighborhood, right? And so you all hang out together, the parents hang out together, and then you go to high school, et cetera. But then after that, people go off on their own way and do things. But then during the pandemic, when people were not going anywhere, we all made relationships over a computer. And you and I met over a computer 5 or 6, I don't even know how many years ago, and we met in person. But the thing is that even though you and I are not close in distance, I feel that we are close friends. And so it's kind of like, I don't know, do you have to be close in proximity to be friends with someone?
Not at all, to be honest. I left my home country where I was born, Austria, very early, and I was traveling around with my different universities in the world, and I was working worldwide, and also my vacations, and I saw my best friends much much more often or frequently when I came back than when they've been living in the neighborhood. And the same with my family. So it's not about distance, not at all, not at all.
No, I agree with you. We've got our first guest who is backstage, by the way. Her name is Kimberly Schaefer, and she is the inventor of Ring Thing. And she also has her own TV show here called The Persistence Payoff Show. She's located out in California in the good old US of A. Let's welcome Kimberly to our program. Hello and welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here with you both.
Yeah, you're our first guest. Welcome.
Yay, what an honor.
Well, Kimberly, we're happy to have you. There's no topic, zero. So we've just been talking about anything under the sun, but maybe we'll have you jump in on this one. What are your thoughts about friendships? Do you think you have to live in close proximity to be good friends with someone?
No, I don't. I have close friends who are scattered all over the country, and they've been my friends for 40 years or more. And I think it does require that you put some effort in to stay in touch. And it doesn't mean, for me at least, I don't think it means daily contact. But, we talk to each other on the phone regularly, or we have a group chat on WhatsApp, and then we try to see each other in person once or twice a year. And for me, those are the friendships that I consider the most meaningful, are the ones I've had for a long time. And when we see each other, we just pick up right where we left off.
Yeah, that's great. The other pillar, there's 3 pillars that Mel Robbins' guest was describing. I don't remember the third one, of course, but the second one was timing. And what this guest talked about was, so everyone leaves whatever schooling, if you're in the schooling route, and then you get a job. And there's people from all different walks of life in the job. So some people are getting ready to retire. Some people are just coming on board. Some people are getting married. Some people are getting divorced. Some people are having children. And so it's not the same timing, because the question was, well, if it's proximity and you're working with people, then how come you're not walking away with more friends? So what do you think about when someone's in a different time of their life than what you're in?
I do agree with that. I mean, I think certainly like when we're in college, or for me in graduate school, you're just around people and you're meeting people all the time. And as I've gotten older, I think I've gotten more interested in quality friendships rather than quantity. So I don't feel like I need to have 20 friends, and I'm perfectly comfortable going out by myself. If I don't have anybody nearby to go out for dinner with or to a movie, I will go by myself in a heartbeat. And I'm much more interested in quality than quantity, but I do think that has come with age.
Yeah, I agree. Roland, what do you think?
Yeah, but what you mentioned, Kimberly, it's what I really love is quality over quantity. I have a question, Kimberly, because I'm from Europe, I'm not from the US. When you talk about close friends, they're far away, maybe in a different state, in a different town. Who is calling? Is it always the same person is more active, or is it vice versa, or how is it? Who to stay in contact?
Yeah, for me at least, it varies depending on what's going on in our lives. Like one of my closest friends just had a tragic loss of one of her children, and so of course I've been the one to be reaching out more. But then there'll be times when I'm if I'm going through a stressful period, and she'll somehow get these vibes without me even saying anything, and then she'll be the one to call. So I feel like we don't have an expectation across any of my friends who live far from me. We don't count and say, oh, I called you last time, so now you have to call me. But it's just really like who has the time, and who, as we know about each other's lives, who might need a little bit more support right now. Yeah, that's just my experience.
Yeah.
No, I think that makes a lot of sense. I think also what happens to us in life can have an impact, and based on what we go through and who's there at the time, maybe that makes us feel closer or less close to people. Or some people really want external support. They really need people to be there. And other people are like, you know what, I've got this. It's okay.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I totally agree. And for me, it also, I do. So I have some friends who I've had for a long time, but I also have newer friends who I've just met. Like I've never met either of the two of you, but I really enjoy, I feel like we have a budding friendship, even though we've never met before. And I appreciate that. And I think part of it for me is authenticity. I'm not interested in what can you do for me. It's more, are you being yourself, and are we connecting on an authentic level?
So true. I'm so glad that you said that, because I know I've shared with you both before, and I don't know who it was that said to me, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. And, you can only wear a mask for so long, but I do know people who would act one way at work and another way outside of work. And so if you're working with them and you're so used to seeing them, and then maybe you have a work party and they have a drink and they're like totally different people, you're like, whoa, I don't know who this person is, because it's hard to keep up a mask and pretend to be something you're not.
Yes, I totally agree. Yeah. And Roland, I'm curious for you, like, as you travel, you're mobile, how do you navigate your friendships? And maybe you guys already talked about this, but how do you navigate your friendships being on the road?
Well, nowadays with all this technology, the gadgets are much cheaper than 20 years ago. Technology like WhatsApp or Zoom is almost free, stuff like that. So it's easy to stay in contact with people. And I give an example, with Dr. Jacalyn, we made almost 5 years ago or something like that. And we always had chats on different channels. And when we met in June last year, after almost 4 years, it was like that we've been knowing each other for 20 years, So I think with technology today, it's easy to stay in contact. And I honestly, I love video conferences with my kids and best friends, because when you see somebody, because I love to honestly, when I have a conversation with someone, I want to look in somebody else's eyes, and I want to also see that the other person is looking in my eyes and not distracted, and I don't know, doing something a part of that. So I'm very, very happy about this video gadgets, whatever tool we are using, and it helped me a lot the last years to stay in contact with my best friends and with my family, 100%. But before, it was more difficult, to be honest. It was just hanging on the phone. Because I'm a digital nomad for many years, so I was always traveling, and before video it was not the same, to be honest. Just on the phone, it's not the same. So I'm very happy about this video stuff. And I was writing, and honestly, before I was writing a lot of cards and letters, so we don't do this anymore. Yeah,
that's nice.
Because I was always writing letters to my sons or postcards from Bali or wherever I've been. This is not working anymore, because you just make a picture from the beach and send it on WhatsApp or whatever tool you're using. So, but no, it's easy. I think when the why is strong enough with everything, what are you doing, then the how and the what is not an issue to stay in contact.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think one thing that's really interesting, I saw yesterday someone posted the fact that they're a content creator, and that before the pandemic, they were covering certain things, and then the pandemic hit and they weren't able to cover the, whatever the content was they were doing, and they suffered financially from it. And I started to think to myself, remember back when the pandemic first hit and something called Clubhouse came out? Are you two familiar with the Clubhouse?
I've heard of it. I didn't participate in it, but I've heard of it.
Well, it was an app called Clubhouse. I think it still exists, and it was audio only. And the thing that was so cool, and why I bring it up, is that I'll never forget, I was in this app, and you would go into different rooms, almost like you were on Zoom or something. You would go into breakout sessions, and right next to you is Mark Cuban. I mean, like literally, you can't see him, but his little emojis there, and he's talking, and you can talk to him. And so it kind of became where you couldn't get to certain people, you can get to anybody now. Like people that you never in a million years could get to, you can contact on social media. It doesn't mean they'll write back, but it really broke down the barriers so that you can have relationships with people in some way that you never could have before. And I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a cool option. Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, when
in the pandemic. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
In the pandemic, we haven't been allowed to go out and go for dinner and meet friends. So what we did is we have been cooking together. So everybody had a tablet in her kitchen, and then we agreed on a certain menu, and then we had 4 or 5 families, everybody on the screen and cooking the same meal, and then we sat on the table and then we enjoyed the meal together, and or lunch or dinner, whatever. This was really fun. It worked also on video.
Yeah, that is cool. I remember I celebrated 2 birthdays during the pandemic, and I was by myself, and I had a virtual birthday party, and it was amazing. Everybody was on the Zoom screen. So
yes. Yes. I think the year of the pandemic started, I was the president of my Rotary Club, and we had probably, I think 60% of our 90 members were 70 or older. And so there was the issues of loneliness that came when we all went into lockdown. And so we started Merlot Mondays. In addition to our meetings, we'd have like a happy hour with everybody on Monday night from our homes on Zoom. And we just called it Merlot Mondays. And we tried to recreate being in a happy hour together and just have that connection.
Yeah, that's cool. I think anytime that people can just be authentic and share and let your hair down, so to speak, and just be who you are.
Yeah.
Yes.
But this shows us that we are social people. We have to interact with other people. And even when we can meet in person, but we can call or video Zooms or whatever. It's so important for us. And I think especially for young kids, because they're just sitting by themselves in front of their tablet or their smartphone, but they're not really communicating anymore. And I think that's so important that we know how to proper communicate and how we become an elevated listener in our conversations.
Yeah, it's so true. Well, something I want to bring up about that and disclosure for people who don't know, I don't have any children, so I can't say from experience, but what I have seen over the last couple of years when I've been traveling, what I have seen is where the children seem to be running the relationship with the parents. And so by screaming and yelling and making demands, and it's like, well, do this or I'm going to freak out on you. And so then it's, well, here's your device. Here, you can watch this. And I know it's hard to set boundaries. It's hard even as adults. But what do you think about if you don't, as a caregiver or a parent, you don't set boundaries with children, then what are they going to grow up and think?
Yeah.
My sons are grown up and they're in their 30s, but I started a new relationship. She brought in 2 kids with 12 and 15. And the 12-year-old, my gosh, he's a challenge. He's a challenge. He's a challenge. So he's learning now that somebody's setting boundaries because his mom is not in charge. So I'm setting
So you were the bad guy now?
No, not really. No, not the bad guy. But no, I'm just setting boundaries. There's a boundary here and there's a boundary there. In between, you can do whatever you want, but here's a no-go and here's a no-go. And that's what he's learning now. And in the beginning, there was a lot of resistance and it's going less and less, but he learns that it's important to set boundaries. He learns to set, but the point is, he's setting boundaries to other ones. But he's not accepting boundaries when you give him to him. So it's a learning, it's a challenge. And actually today we had a conversation because sometimes he's like a baby. And I said, actually I wanted to prepare some burgers, for adults, but I forgot to bring some baby stuff, So I really don't, I tell him, you have to act and behave like a 12 years old and not like a 4 years old. So it's funny, but he's on the smartphone all the time on the tablet. So but there are gadgets out there, so his mom can control it with an app on her phone, and she always gives him another 30 minutes or an hour or something like that. So she really has control about it, because without controlling that, he wouldn't get out of the caravan and stay inside the whole time. So I see that a lot of young people are just addicted to this smartphone or tablets. Yeah. And that's really not good. And I think it came with the pandemic. As you said, Kimberly, a lot of people felt alone. And so they sit in front of their screen and became addicted the last years. And it's hard to get them. And I remember when I was a kid, for our parents, it's very difficult for them to get us back in the house. Now it's difficult to get the kids out of the house.
It's such a good point, because I remember when I was growing up, you'd go outside and play, and you had to come home for dinner, whatever time that was. You'd ride a bike, you'd play in the grass or whatever. And instead, it seems like it's shifted. Now, obviously, I can't say clearly across the board because that's not the case, but that was before we had all of these devices. So is one better than another? I don't know, but I love the fact about setting boundaries, because I think when you take the time to set a boundary, I think it also shows that you care and respect the other person as well. Like as a
100%.
child, maybe it shows you, Roland, that you actually care. You're taking the time to say, hey, listen, I care about you and I'm setting this boundary and it's going to help you in the long run.
I told them it's not because I don't like you. That's why I sent boundaries. I just want to educate you a little bit, because, in 4 or 5 years, maybe you want to date a girl, and then you behave like a 4-year-old in a restaurant. That's not working. On the table, you take a spoon left side or the right side, or I send you to Philip Sykes and you go to
the British School of Excellence. I love it.
That's great.
That's great.
Yeah, I also worry about empathy with young people, because I think they are so, things have shifted, and you're right, Dr. Jacalyn, it's like they're sometimes driving the relationship with their parents, and so they're just thinking about themselves and what they want, and they don't have those boundaries. And secondly, they're also on their phone all the time, and I think it removes some empathy and thinking about the other person. And I find that with not all of the young people in my life, but some of them, like they'll just not call because they're busy, but they don't think about, oh, I haven't spoken to my aunt for however long, for 4 months, let me just call and say hello. It's like and it's not that they're bad people, they just don't think of it. And so I think that what I've seen come out of this is a lack of thinking about other people. It's very self-centered.
Well, I know when I was growing up, your aunts and your grandparents, you were supposed to really respect them and revere them and treat them a certain way. And I feel like through the generations, that's kind of gotten lost. Yes. So it could be exactly what you described.
Yeah.
I mean, there have been some certain rules. The younger is greeting the elder first, or when you sit at the table, you don't get away from the table as long as no anyone else finished their meal. So you're waiting there and stuff like that. So yeah, it's difficult, to bring this I wouldn't say old values, but this traditional values to young kids is difficult, because most of the parents don't live this values, and they're not a role model anymore.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah. And I think, and we're all in different places, so I love your thoughts on it. But I remember, and again, I'm 63. I remember my mother would say, you always dress a certain way, especially if you're in the public. And if you were flying somewhere, you were taking a train, you always dress a certain way. And when I go on flights and people are in their pajamas, I mean, I could see if your flight's at 4 a.m., but it's like the middle of the day and people are in their pajamas. And it's just, I don't know. So things have really changed. But I've heard people say, well, why can't we be relaxed? We have so much pressure in life. But if you're so relaxed and the boundaries kind of really shift, then what happens to your focus and your discipline and your structure?
100%. Karl Lagerfeld, I mean, he passed away, I guess, last year, this famous designer. And he said, when you go on the street on a pajama, you gave up your life.
Really?
And, yeah. And, I'm living in my motorhome, in an RV. I'm on a camping site here. But my new partner said, Roland, you're living in a motorhome, you're traveling around, but you're still always in style. So when we go to the I wouldn't say city, small village, to go for coffee or something, I always have a shirt, not a t-shirt. I always have a shirt, always have long leg trousers, not shorts or something like that, shoes. My belt isn't the same color like my shoes. I think there's a minimum style that you can also have on a camping site,
Yeah, I agree.
And
because as you said, Dr. Jacalyn, when you give up your how you're being, I mean, it's not about being on a catwalk, but when you don't take care about how you look, and it's the same with health and fitness, when you don't take care about yourself, this is a mirror of your character.
Yeah, it's true. Kim, what were you going to say?
Well, I was just going to say, I totally agree with you, Roland. And I feel like for me, as I've gotten older, I'm 66, and I am realizing this, what they say about people becoming invisible as they get older is true. It's easy for people to just look right past you and not really register you as a person. And so one of the things that I've been really conscious of myself is when I go out to dress well and to dress brightly. And I'm like, you might not like me, you might not want to talk to me, and that's all okay, but you will see me. I will not be
I
invisible.
love that.
So,
I love that.
yeah, thank you. And so it's, there's some wonderful examples on Instagram of women in New York, these women who are in their 70s or 80s who dress up so brightly, and it's the same issue. And it's like, no, I will not be invisible. And so that's part of it. But if I go out in my pajamas, people are going to go, ugh.
Exactly. I know for me, and I'm really putting it out there on this one, I have some, I have accessories for my hair, and I've got crowns, believe it or not. And I walk around and I wear my crown. There's no one here. And I say, I'm the queen of my life. I wear my jewelry. I dress a certain way because I feel like I am in charge of my life. Like when I get up, I immediately get changed because I can't work unless I'm in a work mode. If I were to sit down and like after I get up and just sit, like I wouldn't be functional. So I'm usually dressed. I've got my crown on, I've got my jewelry, and I feel like I'm the queen of my life and nobody actually has to even see me, but it sets the mindset for me.
100%, 100%. And ladies, that's the reason why I'm in Italy. I love Italy because I don't know if you've ever been to Italy, but here, all the people, the 60s, 70s, 80s, they still dress up when they leave the house. The gentlemen, they have a gray trousers, white shirt, brown leather shoes, same color of their belt. The brown. I love the style. The Italians really have style, and the ladies too. There's in their 70s. In the 60s, 70s, 80s, and they still dress up when they leave the house. When they go to the farmer market or do some shopping. And I love this because I've been living in Mallorca, and this conejitos, who we call it, the rabbits we call them, they have no style at all. I miss this in Mallorca. But Italians, they have style. They have style, and that's why so many. That's the reason why so many designers are from Italy. I don't know. But they have style, and especially the old people too. They don't give up. As you said, Kimberly, they're not invisible. They're still alive. They're still enjoying life, and they dress up, and that's what I love here.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. One thing that I really noticed, I was living in Florida for a while, taking care of my mom, and my mom was a great dresser in that everything always matched. So she had her little handbag that matched her shoes, and she had her little jewelry things that matched her outfit, and she always was ready to go. And we went to a place called the Town Center Mall, which is still there. It's a very upscale mall, kind of rivals King of Prussia in Philadelphia, but it's up there. And you see these cars pull up, Bentleys, Mercedes, and people get out. I'm like, wow. I mean, your jaw just drops open because it's like they're hardly dressed, like pants cut, like the crack is shown, the whole thing. It doesn't go with the car, like especially if you think about, in my mind, because I grew up in the car business. But if you think about Rolls Royce, what you think about with a Rolls Royce or a Bentley, and this could be very judgmental. And then someone gets out in pajamas. It's kind of, I don't know, it doesn't seem to go. But you see that a lot in Boca. You see it a lot. And so my mom, she would bring it up to me and I'd be like, yeah, I know, Mom, what are you going to do?
We have a saying here, money doesn't buy style.
Yeah.
That's true. It's really true. You can just take the thinnest scarf and toss it a certain way over your shoulder and look very stylish. So I totally agree with that.
Very true.
But I remember, I traveled many times to Africa and also to India. They are very poor people, But the ladies, they're still always in shape. This colorful clothes, always clean, never dirty. I don't know if they have an iron or something at home, but they're always in shape, even in the smallest villas at the end of the world. And they're still it's simple clothes, but it's colorful, it's clean, it's stylish. They're not running around in pajamas.
So speaking of that, I want to bring up another subject, because when you just said about they're always clean and even an iron, I remember for a lot of my life, I had an ironing board and an iron, which I don't have anymore. And I never forget, I would take my clothes to the dry cleaners because I was in corporate. I was traveling a lot. I was wearing a suit every day. And my mother never dry cleaned anything. Everything had to be in the wash. And I'd say, Mom, I don't know how you can exist without going to the dry cleaners. And now you couldn't pay me to dry clean. In fact, I put on an old dress yesterday. I wore it and then I saw it was like dry clean. I was like, oh, because I don't want to dry clean. Sorry, dry cleaners out there, but with the chemicals and everything. So now I really get it when my mother was like, no, wash only. But think about how many dry cleaners went out of business during the pandemic. I don't know what you call it in Europe, but you know, they take your clothes and put them into some kind of chemicals, right? As opposed to putting them in laundry soap, which can have chemicals too. But anyway, I just feel like a lot has really changed, especially when it comes to fashion. But carrying yourself a certain way with poise and etiquette never goes out of style.
Yeah. I mean, you know, with the pandemic, with all this, you know, these Teams and the Zooms, I know and it happened to me too, to be honest, but you have a shirt and nobody knows what you're under there. You know?
Right.
You sit in the screen and
Yes.
and you're working from home.
Yeah, I'm wearing a tennis skirt right now. So I've got on my blazer and I'm wearing a black tennis skirt that goes with my outfit. So
yeah, with my Rotary Club, you know, we had 90 people, and so we would be on the Zoom screen, and that was the year I was president, so I would be running the meeting, and so I'd see the little tiles of everybody. And at the beginning of every meeting, you say the Pledge of Allegiance, and in person, people stand up. And my most common phrase for the rest of the year was, on Zoom, we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. You don't need to stand up, because I would get like, all of these big bellies, and I was like, oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. Please don't stand. Well, I don't know if you know Mr. Wonderful from Shark Tank, but he's frequently interviewed and he's on Instagram, and you'll see a two-shot. You'll see one of what you actually see when he's being interviewed on CNBC or wherever he is, and then you'll see what he looks like in the studio. And he's wearing a suit, but he's wearing like pajama bottoms, and he usually has on pink flip-flops. And it's when you just look from here and you see what you see on the television, on the network, versus it's like, it's hilarious. So you just never know.
Dr. Jacalyn, do you remember years ago when I was invited to the British News and Culture Show?
Yes.
I was broadcasting from my motorhome and it was so hot. I only had a shirt on, but nothing under. And then my green screen came down. And when the producer highlighted the person, I said, okay, that's my chance to fix the green screen. But then the whole stuff came back.
X-rated.
Oh my gosh.
So right now I have a very stylish orange trousers on because I swear at the time this never will happen again to me.
You know what I shared? So Roland is a producer, right? And I'm a producer. So we can see everything backstage. So if all of us were backstage or we're not backstage, we can see, like Kimberly, when you come in. And people don't know that, because when you come in, Kimberly, you can't see us backstage. You can only see us on the screen. But we can see everything. And sometimes I would be like, oh my God. And I would be like, leave your clothes. Like, the people just got finished the interview. They start getting dressed. Like, no, leave your clothes on. I'm putting it into the chat. Sometimes I have to kick people out. I just have to throw them out of this. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to go there, but it's just pretty funny.
Oh, that sounds like a good blooper reel with like people's faces blurred out, but you have a blooper reel of like things.
Yeah, exactly. It happens.
But also, you know, in the pandemic, so many people haven't been used to use video tools, and it happened so many times that they didn't think about the background. And there was a huge scandal when I've been living in Spain, or because during the pandemic I still was in Spain, and there was a very famous TV host on a Spanish TV set, and he was producing from home but without a green screen. And then you can see in the back somebody was crossing naked.
Oh,
and it was not his wife.
Oh
no.
And it was national-wide. Everybody could see it.
Oh my
so a
gosh,
lot of people, it's not about dressing up themselves, but also being aware what's going up in the background.
I know. I don't know how people cannot be aware. Like, if you're on a computer and it's like, I don't have that because I'm by myself. But no, I don't even want to go into it. But there was an episode of someone who was doing something that. Right. Yeah. We all know what it was and got caught doing it. And I think they lost their job. But yeah, I don't know. It's
yes.
It's crazy.
Yes.
So.
You have to think about the gestalt, the whole thing, the whole picture of what's going on, not just from here to here.
Yeah, exactly. Because the computer, the tablet, the phone, whatever it is, they're all just tools. They're all just different ways for us to connect, but there still is an etiquette, a decorum of certain behavior. And I think that that's where people forget. And by the way, I want to talk about something else. This to me, I don't understand this really at all. I will say hello anytime I see someone, really, hello, in the elevator, hello. I'm very friendly at the gym, hello. You know, I don't go that many places, so I wish I could give you lots of examples, but I cannot. And it's like, for example, in the elevator, it's just the two of us. Hello, how are you today? Nothing. And I think to myself, it's you and me. Like, no one else is here, but you can't say hello. And they're on the device. They're doing whatever with the device. And then you have the scenarios, and I see this all the time. It just happened. I did go to the nail salon yesterday. Person is on a video call at full blast. Oh. It's like, you've got to, like, and I don't even say anything because I say to myself, it's none of my business. But people have lost the fact that, no, this is not your home. You're in a public domain. And by the way, does the other person know that you have them on video in front of everyone? Or this one, and then I'll stop talking. This happened to me on Friday. I went to the gym. I went in to use the bathroom, and I heard people talking. And there's only one stall that was open, that was being used. And there was a person on a full conversation in the bathroom. Like, really? You could not take the time to just do your business, wash your hand. And by the way, after that, because I came out around the same time, the person did not even wash their hands. Okay. I'm just putting it out there.
Oh, man. Oh, well, and you know, go ahead, Roland.
Go ahead, Kimberly. Please go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, I've experienced both of those things, and I agree about saying hello to people. And sometimes I feel like if you say hello to people, they think you want something from them. Mm. Like, oh, why is she saying hello to me? What's the hook here? And you know, I had the same impulse as you, Dr. Jacalyn, where I just want to say hello, hi. I'm acknowledging that you're here. We're both here. Hello. And going about my business. But I feel like sometimes people think that you want something from them.
That could be. I think for me, because I live alone, like, I'm just looking for some kind of human connection, and it just seems like a polite thing to do. But Roland, how is it over there in Europe?
Well, depending, you know, and the countryside, everybody's greeting. You say hello, they say hello. Here in Sicily, I don't know anyone here around, or a few people, because it's my third winter here. But here, everybody's friendly and says salve, buongiorno, or ciao. It's normal here, absolutely. In my home country in Austria, when I'm on the countryside, like a small village with my auntie, everybody's greeting on the street. But when I go, for example, to Vienna, no, not at all. And I have a funny story, because I left Vienna many years ago. But sometimes when I go there, and even when we met, Dr. Jacalyn, when I take the underground, you know, from the camping site to the center, and you're in the underground, you know, and people are looking out of the window and said, what the heck do you see there? It's dark outside, there's nothing. But people are so scared that they have to communicate. So they just look into the mirror. Or maybe because it's dark outside, the window's like a kind of mirror, and they can look indirectly what's going on. I don't understand this, but people are looking out of the window in the underground.
It's crazy. Well, you know, on the exact opposite thing, here's another perspective. You're on a flight, and it's a long flight, and you've got two people who are sitting next to each other and just start talking. And then it seems like they feel pressure to keep talking. By the time you know, like, the lights are out, it's dark, you want to go to sleep, they're still talking. And then the flight lands, and they have nothing to do with each other. They both, as soon as you get out the walkway, it's like nobody even says it. It's like, why do we have to hear you for 6 hours, your entire life story? But that, to me, it's the exact opposite. It doesn't make any sense.
No. And I feel like that's a perfect situation for some of the work that you're doing on boundaries, Dr. Jacalyn. It's like, and I notice that myself when I get on a plane, I'll be polite to the person next to me, but I really have no interest in talking to them. And so it's immediately, do you get your book out, or do you plug into your phone, or somehow to give the signal, like, I'm not here to talk? Because people do get nervous sometimes, and they want to just chit chat. And, you know, it's how do you set that boundary? And at the same time, I've also had conversations with people on business trips where they tell me things that I'm shocked at, like really personal things. And maybe it is that safety of, like, they know that they're never going to see me again, so they can tell me these things. And, you know, I'll walk off the plane and think, wow, I number one, I didn't need to know that, but it's also interesting that they would confide in a total stranger about things about their marriage or their lives. And I'm like, how did we get here? I was just sitting in
by the way, today, all you have to do is like have maybe a first name, a company. You can look it up and you can find them. I'll never forget, like to the story you just told, I was upgraded to first class. And I was flying a 2-hour flight. I want to say it was Philly to Florida or something to West Palm. And I now am seated next to this gentleman, and he had an annual report. He told me he was the CEO of this publicly traded company, and he was leafing through this annual report. And so he ended up falling asleep at some point. And when he felt like it was in his hands, and he fell asleep, and it went right into my lap. And I was like, oh my gosh, like I have insider information right now. And I was like, I cannot read this, right? Because I know like that would be a breach of whatever. So I didn't even want to actually touch it because I didn't want my fingerprints on it, but I folded it over. And when he finally woke up, I said, I don't know you, but I'm just saying, you told me you're the CEO of this company. And I said, that information in the wrong hands, somebody else could take that information and buy the stock, sell the stock, whatever it is. And he's like, oh, that's a really good point. I'm like, but he didn't seem to care one way or another. And then another quick story. I was on a flight with this guy who was in the NFL. And I'm not going to say what position he was in. He was really cute too, by the way. But he was in the last Super Bowl at this time. And he had a PowerPoint presentation from the NFL with some moves and changes they were going to be making overall as an organization. And so he was folded, like there was no way I could not see it. I mean, it was just like right there. So finally I had to say to him, listen, I'm really sorry. I've tried like looking at the wall. I'm not sleepy. I've tried. You have this out and I can see it. I'm sure the person in the next aisle seat, they can see it. And he really did appreciate that. I said, that's confidential information. Just because you're on a flight doesn't mean, and maybe I'm crazy. Maybe somebody else would be like, yeah, let me take photographs of it.
But you can use a screen protection. We have, I don't know the US, but I guess too, but here in Europe, when you work for a company, you have to use a screen protection. It's just over your screen, and then you can only read the screen when you're in a certain angle. Not from,
he had
from
printouts. He had printout paper printouts.
No, it's just like, I don't know, like a protection for your smartphone. You just put it on the screen of your laptop. And then you can always read when you're in a certain angle, can see from the side or something.
No, but like he had paper. He had paper.
Paper. Okay.
There were days where there was paper. By the way, this is my certificate from the British School of Excellence as an etiquette coach. Thank you very much. No, but he actually had paper printed out. So the point is, it's just you get extremes, right? You get one case where you can have so much information that you could actually benefit from it monetarily, and then you get the other side where people don't even want to have a conversation with you. So I'm not sure what the answer is, but
it also happens, the top CEOs or presidents that they send confidential messages around, and everybody can read it anyway. But I want to bring something back that Kimberly mentioned is. When you said Kimberly, that's what happened to you. That's a totally stranger told or opened their heart or whatever. I don't know what I want to know from both of you. But here in Europe, for some people, it's easier for them to be honest, authentic, and open-hearted when they talk to strangers than to best friends.
Yeah, I think that's true. But I want to add one caveat, and then we'll go to Kim, which is you don't know who knows whom. You have no idea, because now with all this connectivity through social media, you have no idea. So talking to a total stranger. Now, I think it's one thing if you're talking about yourself, but if you start talking about your partner, your kids, you're this, you're that I think is another thing. But Kim, what do you think?
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think, Roland, you're right that people do sometimes feel safer with a stranger because there's no ties. There's no history. There's no filters that they're thinking about as they're talking to you. And if you are a person who's listening, they feel comfortable spilling their beans. And And I agree with you, Dr. Jacalyn, that you don't know. I mean, for all they know, I'm going to walk into the same meeting that they're flying to, and now here we are and together. So you don't know who knows who. But I do think that there's a safety in strangers. You just think, oh, they don't know me. I can say all of this, and that person lives in California, and I'll never see her again. And it's a false intimacy, I think.
Yeah, I love that, false intimacy. Yeah, I think that's true. It's very true. Well, my friends, we're coming to the end of this episode of Unscripted. So since we have no topic and no script, does anyone have anything they want to share for the last maybe 5 minutes?
Ladies first, Kimberly.
Yeah, the only thing I would say is I'm really, we touched on this a little bit. I talked about the invisibility, and that's just something that I'm really aware of for myself, but I'm also trying to be aware of it for other people. So sometimes if I'm in a grocery store and I'll see an elderly person walking along with their shopping cart, and they might look at me, and I'll smile and say hello to them. And I can see it takes a minute for it to register for them. Like, oh, she's talking to me, right? She's smiling at me. And then they smile and go on their way. And I'm not saying that I made any big difference in their life, but I am trying to be aware of it for myself and for other people, and to acknowledge that other people are there. And I think hopefully maybe they'll do that for somebody else, but I think that's how we build community at large, is just seeing each other. And like you said, Dr. Jacalyn, saying hello to the stranger in the elevator.
Well, I think, Kimberly, you hit the nail on the head, which is that everyone wants to be seen. We all want to feel safe, and we want to be seen. And especially as people get older, I mean, I know I've talked to both of you about this, and also your own situations, but when you have parents who are older and you are involved in taking care of them, and you have a close relationship, you see what happens as you get older. If you're lucky enough to be here and you're older, and you see how people attempt to prey on people through phone calls, solicitations, etc. And then you see how people treat people who are older. Maybe they kind of push them out of the way, or, hey, granny, get out of my way, or whatever the case may be. And all of a sudden it starts to register. And so you don't want anyone else to feel that way. And I look at people now and I say, that's somebody's mom. That's somebody's dad. That's, like, come on. Let's show people some respect. I even see it at the gym sometimes when there's an elevator that people can take, and then there's a very long staircase, and you see someone who's older, maybe someone says that about me, and you see them going up the steps, and it takes a little time. And it's like, it's okay. But you see younger people like trying to maneuver in and out, and it's like, it's all like, let's just show some respect. But not everybody feels that way.
No, I agree. Yes. So that was just one of the thoughts that I had from our conversation.
No, I think that's good. Roland, we're going to go over to you for the last comment before we roll out of here.
Yeah, I strongly believe that we all have to communicate more and be more open-minded, and that's what I do. What I try on a daily basis here in the small village here, especially when I buy my grocery and stuff like that. I always have a short chat with my little Italian, and they're all elder people. And one of the guys, he even doesn't know how to count. So he has an issue when I buy more than one item. And I don't know how old he is. He has 2 teeth left, but he does organic gardening, and I buy my strawberries and stuff like that there. But I always have a nice conversation with this guy, and also with the other lady, where I buy my organic eggs, and they really appreciated that I try to communicate, even if it's Italian is not my language. It's a little bit challenging because they don't care if I speak Italian or not. They just keep talking, but it's absolutely fun. But this is my message, that even if I know that the Americans, most are not not bilingual, but my message to Americans is, try to understand other cultures and try to communicate, even if you don't speak Spanish or Italians and they don't speak English, doesn't care, but just smile and as Kimberly said, let them know that they're seen. And I know I've been living in Africa for a while, and in Swahili they say, I see you. When they say hello, they don't say hello, they say I see you. That's what the so hele hello is. It means in translation, I see you. And I think this is a message that I would bring out today to the world is let's take care about each other and signal, yes, I see you, whatever's going on.
That's beautiful.
And I'm there for you if you want to have a little chat or whatever.
I love that.
I do too.
I think the one thing I want to leave people with is that you can feel alone in a crowd, right? So let's acknowledge other people. Let's let people know we see them. And from what I was sharing earlier, maybe they won't reciprocate, but that's okay because we have the awareness, and maybe we're a little further on a journey than someone else, but that doesn't mean that we can't stop along the way and say, hey, I see you.
Yes.
100%.
Yes. I love that.
All right. So anything that either one of you wants to share with our audience about what you're doing, how you can help them? Kimberly, let's start with you. What's up?
Yeah. So I'm really enjoying working on the ring thing, which is my patented waterproof ring holder that I invented. So I'm really excited to be working with some new companies and some new people and getting that out. And I had an event yesterday at a really lovely gym in San Diego, and it went very, very well. And it's just, I would love to help people protect their rings. That's why I invented it. So I'm excited to work on that. And also the Persistence Payoff Show, and just delving into the topic of persistence and why do we persist and how do we persist and how does that help us? So I'm excited about both of those avenues.
Yeah, I saw that event. It looked terrific. And I love the analogy about your hair.
Yes. My hair has its own life.
Well, thank you for being our guest today on Dr. Jacalyn Unscripted. We hope you'll come back again. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. I really have had a great time and appreciate it.
No, it's been fun. And Roland, how about you?
Bye, Kimberly. Well, thank you. If you want to know more about me, maybe from also you can recognize it from this conversation. I'm very into health and fitness. So every Tuesday here on USA Global TV and Radio, noon East Standard Time or 6 p.m. Central European Time, we do the It's Your Healthy Lifestyle show. I do it together with Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. It's all about fitness, nutrition, sleep, whatever is necessary. That's It's Your Healthy Lifestyle. So every Tuesday at noon East Standard Time. And then an hour later, 1 p.m. East Standard Time, or I have to count, 7 p.m. Central European Time, I do the Macher Talk. This is a talk about doers. So the Macher, it's a German show, by the way. This is the Macher Talk. It's a German show. It's a doer show. So if you speak German, you're more than happy to welcome. And an hour later at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time or 8 p.m. Central European Time, I do the Mutmacher Talk, the Encourager Talk, every Tuesday. And if you want more information about that, just go on the website. And and very important, if you haven't done so far, go on YouTube. We are broadcasting live, but everything is recorded too. So if you miss something, part of the show or another show, go on YouTube and sign up for USA Global TV and Radio and Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, and you don't miss any show. There are many, many content up there from not just from Dr. Jacalyn, myself, and Kimberly, but from all other colleagues there. So here we're scrolling through the playlist. Thanks for having me. I wish everything a beautiful Sunday. Jacalyn.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'll see you on Tuesday. Thanks again. Bye. All right, everyone. Thank you so much. I just want to close out with the fact that I have 3 new books that are out, which is hard to believe. But one of them is Stop Giving Away Your Value. I'm trying to find the cover. It's here somewhere. Here it is. Stop Giving Away Your Value. And the other one is My Tummy Hurts, A Kid's Guide to Bellyaches and Bathroom Troubles. And of course, being the professional that I am, I don't have the third book cover. But it's Lady Ella and Lord Jack, and they are traveling in their kindness adventures, and they're currently in Serenita, Greece, talking to the alley cats who feel left out and unfed and unwelcomed. So we will close out for now. We'll be back again next Sunday. If you'd like to join, please go over to the website. I'm actually going to be doing the show by myself on Wednesdays. So if you want to sign up on a Wednesday, you can do that. Otherwise, it's Sunday. And now we'll just take a look at a couple of our clips. Please do watch. And I would love if you would order my books. You can go to Amazon or find bookstores where books are sold. Thank you again.
How much of your value have you been giving away? saying yes when the answer should have been no, lowering your price to secure the opportunity, giving more while receiving less. Over time, it adds up. Until one moment brings clarity, you've been giving away your value. This is not about working harder. This is not about doing more. It's about boundaries. It's about pricing. It's about respect. From Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK comes a direct and necessary message. Stop over-delivering. Stop underpricing your expertise. Stop negotiating against yourself. Because when you recognize your value, everything changes. Stop giving away your value. Boundaries, pricing, and the business of respect. Available now wherever fine books are sold and on Amazon. A film by USA Global TV and Radio. Executive producer Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Videographer and cinematic production Paul Garcia. Voiceover by Ed Wargas. Stop giving it away. Start owning it.
My Tummy Hurts by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Meet Jackie. She loves recess, running with friends, and laughing on the playground. At school, Jackie tries to play like she always does, but suddenly the pain comes back. Lately, something feels different and her tummy hurts, sometimes a little and sometimes a lot. With the help of a caring teacher, a nurse, her mom, and a kind doctor, Jackie begins to understand what her body is trying to tell her. Sometimes tummy pain is more than a simple bellyache. Some children live with conditions like ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease. Jackie listens to her body. She asks for help. She knows she's not alone. And Jackie finds her way back to running, laughing, and being herself. My Tummy Hurts, a kid's guide to bellyaches and bathroom troubles by Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK, available on Amazon and in fine bookstores around the world.
In a quiet seaside town in Greece, where sunlight warms the stone paths and the sea whispers nearby, a new adventure begins. Lady Ella and her brother Lord Jack have arrived with an important mission: to teach kindness, patience, and the power of listening. In a hidden alley, a group of forgotten cats feel unseen and unheard, lost in silence and growing misunderstandings, until someone finally takes the time to truly listen. Because when we listen from the heart, loneliness softens, kindness grows, and new friendships begin. This is Book 10 of The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor book series. Find all Dr. KERBECK's books on Amazon and in fine bookstores worldwide.
In a world that moves fast, there's strength in the woman who moves with grace. Introducing Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Each piece is intentionally designed for the woman who knows her worth, crafted from luxurious Italian eco-fabrics that feel as good as they look. With elegant coverage, effortless support, and timeless style, our swimwear celebrates both your body and your essence. Founded by fashion expert Carrie Sykes, Bay London is made for women who want to feel sexy, stylish, and seen. From poolside to beachside, sunrise to sunset, Bay London outfits you for every moment that matters. Because beauty isn't about age, it's how you wear your confidence. Bay London, confidence, elegance, effortless luxury. Visit baylondon.com. Act now for your exclusive friends and family discount of $35. Scan the QR code. Bay London, where confidence meets craftsmanship. Proud sponsor of USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honored to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at usaglobaltv.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USA Global TV.
Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative Direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.